It isn't rare to find JRPGs that we may have underestimated, games that we thought would be a cakewalk and proved us wrong with some real challenge. None of these are that hard, don't worry, but something or someone made us think they will be easy. These are the 10 most underestimated JRPGs, so let's begin. Number 10. Tales of Berseria. Berseria is not one of the hardest games in the series, it's just not. It ain't easy either though, and people know that, but most that start this great action RPG get a mixed impression at first. Combat in Berseria is not exactly strategic, because all you seem to do at the beginning is button mash and win, so for starters, it gives players the wrong impression. Playing it on normal at first is actually very easy, but then little by little, you'll start noticing some weird spikes here and there, and I don't just mean some bosses, I mean even regular enemies. A careless approach to some of them and all of a sudden you're dead for no damn reason. Like, what exactly killed me and how? Annoying status effects get very often in the way and hinder your battle progress. They disrupt the flow so badly you'd rather just run away than heal. And the fact that you need to hit the enemies the right way so they don't get annoying cooldowns or a broken combo can turn things easily against you. So it's stuff like this that gets people thinking that maybe they should have paid more attention to the combat mechanics and the tutorials at the beginning. Oh, and practice a little bit more instead of just button mashing and destroying everything like they did at first. Number 9. Star Ocean 6. The Divine Force is the latest entry in the series and it already has a reputation for being easy. Well, it's true that it might be the easiest in the series, but that doesn't make it an easy game per se. If you found ways to exploit its mechanics and destroyed every single foe even on normal mode, then good for you. Tell others in the comments what you allegedly did, cause I for one failed miserably against a few nasty spikes like this guy. Zero clue what I have been doing wrong. No reason why all enemies in this dungeon have been ridiculously easy so far, and then this boss spiked harder than my cock! He ain't the only one. Others like this giant bird came before and filled my experience with supreme frustration. I think the game has some camera issues for some moves with Duma, the little drone you can attach to fight, but whatever. My point is that I don't think you should trust those who wreck this game easily, allegedly, including bosses like these guys. It is, for the most part, quite an easy RPG, that's true, but still, I wouldn't underestimate it if I were you. Learn the ups and downs of combat, try the item creation feature if you want to, and maybe these fights won't be as upsetting as they were for me. I also think this game deserves a little bit more respect. It still offers a decent challenge with some bosses, and includes both an easy and a hard mode to make up for its balancing flaws. Number 8. Sino Saga Episode 1. I'll admit this one is a strange case. It doesn't really have a reputation of spitting on people's faces with surprising difficulty. It doesn't fool around either, wasting your time with easy perks. Still, it may have been recommended for beginners on several occasions. I blame the sequel, which quickly developed a bad rep for being a convoluted frustration. A third game came to save the day with great balance and a decent challenge. So going back to the first one, I doubt many people would agree it took them by surprise. Nevertheless, I've met people who felt the same way as me. I never finished it. Neither did some of them. Reasons why are cause it throws a few lovely boss fights that laugh in your face. We underestimated this little gem because it was popular and everyone was recommending it back then. You gotta understand, there was no Dark Souls culture, so everyone wondered afterwards why this was a must-play RPG. Was it really the acclaimed masterpiece some chanted in the reviews? I greatly enjoyed what I played, so it's hard to elaborate on why I never finished it. Truth of the matter though is that I never got past this boss fight. I don't think I ever understood the battle mechanics accurately and didn't bother to pay proper attention. Probably because it never struck me as anything complex. Well, it isn't, but it's no joke either, so joke's on me and everybody else who thought this would be a cakewalk. Boy, it sure wasn't. Number 7. Atelier Ryza. I've played a lot of Atelier games and most of the modern ones are stupidly easy. You win no matter what in most cases and get a couple of small spikes here and there. Like many fans out there, I thought Ryza will be the same. I personally underestimated this game big time. The first couple of hours were enough to notice something was off. Enemies just weren't a walk in the park like they had been in most previous titles. Still, I didn't care and continued playing on normal like nothing. That is until I reached these little bastards posing as a mid-boss battle. They killed me. I died. I died in an Atelier game. How can I freaking die in an Atelier game? And on top of it all, this early in the adventure. So back to the cauldron to synthesize the best equipment I can and train a little. After succeeding, sometime later, I fought this dragon and guess what happened? Dead again. I've lost count of how many players I've seen that went through the exact same issues. We never should have underestimated this game, but can you blame us? Like I said at the beginning, most previous entries had been a joke, so they spoiled us! Damn you, Ghost, for trolling us! Number 6. Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. There is only one simple reason why people underestimate this game. It's because it's a Persona game. They think it's gonna be as fun and friendly as 3, 4, and 5, and then slowly start getting more challenging as you progress, as it should be in a JRPG, right? Persona 2, ironically, is like that, but it plays different than the others. Missions like this one where you have to escape under a goddamn timer stress you out way more than its successors. Why? Because random encounters don't pause the timer, and then it starts spiking more and more in combat until you realize you have to grind a lot. Like in its successors actually. So in reality it isn't that different, except it's kind of outdated and not as fun to play as it once was, but it's a hard game, not stupid hard, but reasonably hard. It's a spin-off of the Megami Tensei series, so that right there should have told you everything from the start, bro. You don't mess with the SMT games, do you? Treat Persona 2 as such and you'll see it isn't as hard as it appears to be on the surface. Maybe. The same goes for Innocent Sin, which I found on the same level of difficulty. Number 5. Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones. For a time I wondered why this game had built a reputation for being easy. Every time someone mentioned that, I was intrigued. Then I got used to it and concluded most people were just lying. Thing is, the Sacred Stones has the Tower of Valny, a place you can access at any time and grind for experience with a small group of characters, so with a lot of time and patience, you can just farm your way up here and complete every single main map, no problem. Well, maybe except the desert one, where Ephraim and Erica finally reunite. Small spoiler, sorry about that. I found that map to be by far the hardest of them all, second to none. Problem with this game is that you have Seth, one of the most broken characters in the series. They all have one, but eventually they start sucking near the end. I don't know, Seth was a beast right up until the last battles. But Seth alone can't kill everyone in maps like this. You need to rely on others that you either have been training properly or grinded in the Tower of Valny. Still, I wouldn't underestimate this JRPG just because the internet told you. It is absolutely not an easy game at all, even if you exploit Valny or use Seth for everything. It's nowhere near as hard as others in the series though, but still, I recommend you use caution because yes, this is one of those Fire Emblems with perma-freaking death. Oh yeah. Number 4. Grandia III. Grandia 1 and 2 are pretty balanced games. They can get slightly harder than usual in some bosses or areas, but they're okay for the most part. I'm guessing a numerous amount of fans went into Grandia 3 expecting it to be the same. Big mistake. What they encountered was a nasty son of a gun that ultimately tore them to pieces a few times. Attempting to succeed at this turn-based RPG with the same mentality as before equals failure. Grandia III has several absurd spikes, not only with some bosses, with random enemies as well. Late in the main story, you'll traverse dungeons full of ridiculous monsters that come in groups. They type you'd rather run away from, since the easier monsters give the same amount of experience or more. But boss battles like this mechanical guardian in the Milk Ruins show fans they shouldn't have messed with this game. Grandia III became, in my opinion, one of the most underestimated JRPGs ever. Right from the first couple of bosses in the game, you easily realize it won't be a walk in the park. Instead, you crawl through the mud in order to stand a chance. It isn't brutally hard, don't worry. I can guarantee good old grinding will rid you of nearly every spike in the game. Except the final boss. Screw that guy, grind a lot. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. I'm thinking some folks out there misjudged this game's difficulty. Probably thought, they're E-rated with Disney characters, these games are for kids, dude. It'll be an easy time, it'll be alright. Well, nobody's ever quoted either for being among the hardest action RPGs ever, but people sure underestimated both. However, after playing one, lesson learned, let's be careful with the other. For me, I played 2 first, which I found as the better game, with some insane boss fights that blew my brains out. Why is a Disney crossover with Final Fantasy this outrageous? I've never been good at action games, where skill is way more important than strategy, and I don't know about the 10,000 ports and remasters these two have had, but I don't remember the PS2 originals having an easy mode. I got wrecked badly a few times, but I still beat the game and enjoyed it. The same cannot be said about the first one. I'm not saying it was harder, I'm just saying it wasn't as entertaining for me. Still, its nonsensical spikes were reason enough to quit. I got all the way to Captain Hook, died a few times, grinded, still died and gave up. I could have succeeded, but honestly I wasn't really loving the game as much as its sequel. But yeah, my point is that these two E-rated JRPGs, marketed for kids or teens, who the hell could have known they could be quite challenging at some points? So because they're pretty popular games, I think they're among the most underestimated of them all. Number 2, Final Fantasy IX. This entry brings a lot of smiles when mentioned. Its charisma has no boundaries, it just charms players with story, music and characters. However, behind a lot of those smiles, hide all the repressed memories of the nasty and revolting battles scattered across the journey. Some very aggressive bosses are there that people like me would rather not remember. Every time I play this game and get to certain areas, painful memories come running at me. I know what's waiting for me behind that door in this grotto. This goddamned alien-like water prick. At least one of my characters is dead by the time my battle ends. Gisamaluk, or whatever it's pronounced, showed me I should never have underestimated Final Fantasy IX. A few spikes annoyed me before, but this dude took the cake for me. After that, I started treading more carefully the first time I played this game. Still, nothing prepared me for other cheap battles, so I resorted to leveling up as much as I could. Then I succeeded, until the end. Pretty sure there are many strategies to deal with some bosses and enemies, but yeah, this is one where grinding will certainly help you through most of them, thankfully. Anyway, if by some weird reason you haven't played this game, go and do it, but remember, don't underestimate it. Number 1, Super Mario RPG. Hey, it's a Mario game! A Mario game! It's gonna be friendly, right? It's gonna be easy, right? Everybody can get into it, love it and finish it, right? No one ever said the Mario games were easy. There may be a few out there that are, but most offer a balanced challenge. Actually, I think this little RPG offers that as well. problem is, most people expected it to be a cinch. Why would Nintendo allow Squaresoft to include some nasty jerks like this ugly bastard to piss off the players? Who would have thought? I certainly didn't. Still, I had experience with some of the hardcore family like Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES, so maybe I knew what I was getting into, but I did feel like I underestimated this game like many others out there. I, too, was expecting it to be less challenging, easier, friendlier, you name it. Don't be confused though, the game isn't that hard, and it's still quite recommended for a newbie. Just don't expect it to be easy though. Some ridiculous bosses are there, like this other dude that keeps summoning a clone almost just as cheap as him. Challenges galore here, but nothing brutal. Give it some credit after you finish it, that is if you make it past that giant sword or the freaking final boss. That's it, my man. These JRPGs are not that hard once you figure them out. Hell, some are still pretty good for beginners out there, as long as they don't underestimate them. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!